QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022 Reports. Print, save as PDF, export to Excel, part number 1. Get ready because we bookkeeping pros are moving up the hilltop with QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. Here we are in our free QuickBooks sample file, sample raw castle construction, going through the setup process with the view drop down, the open windows list on the left hand side, the company drop down, home page in the middle, maximizing that home page. We want to go through the process of organizing our reports, printing and exporting them as we do so, imagining we are doing it in order to give them to somebody, which could be a supervisor typically or possibly a client. And when we think about providing the reports, oftentimes just simply the presentation is half the battle, as they say, as G.I. Joe says, it's half the battle. Not that we're battling anyone here, we're just printing reports. It's a metaphor. But in any case, it's half the presentation is going to be important. So we want to think about how we're going to be presenting it and grouping it as we give the reports to supervisors and or our clients. I'm going to possibly lean towards giving them to a client because that's more what I'm used to. So first thing I would do then is think about where we're going to save the reports that we might be saving at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year. I'm going to go into this folder that we have set up here, and I'm going to make another folder. Note, if this was your own practice, you might call it something like this is your clients folder, and then you might set it up on client by client basis, and then within client by client, you might then set up a year by year folder, as well as possibly a permanent folder, the permanent folder holding permanent stuff, the temporary holders, the year by year folders then giving the temporary stuff, which would include reports that you generate on a temporary basis. So, but here for this practice problem, I'm going to name it just reports, first part navigation. These are going to be the reports on the first part of the course before we get into like the creation of the new company file. So this is the navigation reports. And then in here, I'm going to start to save our information. I might add more folders as we go. Then I'm going to say, all right, now let's open up our reports. You can practice this with any report, but in prior presentations, we set out our reports on the client reports on a monthly basis and yearly basis in the memorized reports. So let's open up those memorized reports. I'm going to go to the Reports Center, Reports drop-down, Reports Center to do that. And I'm going to go to the Memorized Reports tab and maximize this window. And here's the reports that we have set up. I'm going to put them in a list view. You'll note that I have gone back in here and renumbered them so that I can number them from 1 to 8 so that I could put the reports that I would like to have on top, up top. And then if I was to have someone else help me out, an assistant, print out the reports at the end of the month or something like that, they could go into the memorized reports. They have them all numbered out here and just generate them, create the proper date, and then either print, export them to Excel or whatever our process is kind of in that order. That would be the idea. So I'm going to start off with the summary balance sheet and go through the summary reports, and then we'll go to the longer balance sheets, imagining that when I present this to somebody, we'll start off with the easiest report that won't overwhelm somebody and then get into the more detailed reports, general idea. So I'm going to run this report. We'll start off with the summary report, and I'm going to then try to print this out. I'm going to save it as a PDF, and then imagine that I'm going to email this to somebody. So here are your options for the printing. I'm going to keep the report as is with the date 3/31/23 up top. You can either print the report here. When you print it, we could say print. They also have the save as a PDF option, which is nice. We can email, meaning we're going to send it as an Excel or a PDF in the email. The email is nice, but if you email it directly from QuickBooks, you're not really verifying, you're not really checking it before you send it. You could check it as a PDF here and then send it. But also, if you send it one by one and you send as many reports as we're looking at, you will most likely overwhelm the recipient of the report with too many emails. So we don't want to do that. Your other option, if you're going to be emailing, would be to save them first and then have a bunch of attachments that you would include. Again, that might be somewhat tedious, better, but still tedious because you'll have a whole lot of attachments. Third option, possibly you could zip the files together so that you could send one zipped file with all of your reports, which again is better. Another option is we could try to export these to Excel and then see if we could put them all in one PDF, meaning have those 8 reports or whatever we looked at in one PDF. So we'll look at all of those options here as we go through. Also note that we will be utilizing a Qt PDF printer, which in essence is a printing option that will allow you to save as a PDF. So if you hit the drop down here, we have an option to save it as a PDF, but some reports and some other programs don't, even though you might be able to print it. If you get a Qt PDF, if you use a PDF printer, it will use the printing option to then save it as a PDF, which is a really nice tool, one we will be using in the future. Here's the software I use. I'm not promoting it or anything, but it's called Qt PDF Printer. You can find it in your favorite browser. I believe it's free, and that's one option that you can utilize if you want to check that out. Okay, so then let's go through our options. First, I'm going to try to save it as a PDF. We'll do that first, and then I'll practice with the Qt PDF printer as well. Notice we've already formatted the reports so that they're in the format that we want to see them as. So I'm going to save them. I'm going to look for the folder that I want to put this in. We're in the desktop. So I'm looking at QuickBooks Desktop 2022. We're looking at the reports, and then I will name it here. I will name it. And we're going to say, and I might even want to put like a 1 next to this one to say this is the first report. So it'll organize within my folder 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of an alphabetical. So summary, balance sheet. And then I could then put the date, but I'm not going to right now since I'm going to send them all as of the same date. So maybe I'll put the date in the folder I'm saving them to. And I'm just going to save it there. And we could see then if we jump on over to our folder, it should then populate like so. And there it is. And we can open that up, of course, and check it out. So let's open it up. Check it out. Looks excellent. Okay. Closing that out. And then we're going back to QuickBooks here. Back to QuickBooks. Let's open up the next report. So I've got my report center on the left-hand side. Opening up report number 2. Numero dos, as we say in Spanish. That's my excellent Spanish pronunciation. So here we have our vertical analysis. Let's try to use the Qt PDF printer this time to save it in a similar fashion. So this time I'm going to report, go print report, and then you've got your printing options, which includes the preview option on the right-hand side. Notice that later on we'll run into issues with we want to format the report, as we've seen a little bit in the past, meaning if the report was, say, too long or something like that on a width-wise, we might want to fit it to one page, which are options you've possibly seen in, say, Excel as well. We can print it landscape if we so choose, and we've got some options with the smart breaks in terms of where the breaks are going to be. So we've got some kind of general types of formatting, and then we have the margins formattings on the right-hand side. If these formatting options aren't enough to get a report formatted the way we would like, then of course we can export it to Excel. We'll practice doing that as well, and then we can have further formatting options there possibly too. So we could then preview this report, giving us that print preview option. Looks good. I'm going to print it now, but instead of using a printer, I'm going to print it to that Qt PDF printer, the one I just kind of looked at. That will, in essence, save it as a PDF file. It takes a little bit longer for it to kind of think about, but there it is. So now it's trying to save it. It's going into the desktop, the documents. So I'm going to say, no, that's not where I want it to go. I want it to go into reports. And then I'm going to call this number 2, summary balance sheet vertical analysis. So there we have that. I'm going to say save that one. So that should put the second one. So we have another PDF. Those are the 2 ways we could save the PDF. I'm just going to go through the rest of them here. Opening up another one. We're going to say, let's see the next one. What else we have? Number 3, numero tres. That's about as high as my Spanish goes. Numero tres. And then we're going to save that one. So I'm going to then go up top. Let's go ahead and just save this as a PDF. Saving it as a PDF. And then I'm going to go down here and say this is summary balance sheet by month. And save that. And then let's go to the rest of them. Numero cuatro. See, I was wrong. That was kind of okay, number 4 here. We're going to then say print, save it as a PDF. Here we go. And we'll put this one, just changing the name down here. This is going to be Summary Comparative Balance Sheet. So there we have that. The last one, did I put a number on the last one? I didn't. Summary. I'm going to put this with number 3 in front of this. I'm going to say this was 3 and this was 4. Report number 4. So there we have that. Okay, then back on over. Let's see what else we have. Number 5, opening that up. See how many reports we can actually do that are kind of based just on the balance sheet. We'll talk about income statement reports next time, but a lot going on. So this is going to be the balance sheet summary, or the standard balance sheet. So balance sheet, I'll just call it the balance sheet. And that's number 5, report number 5, saving that one. And then we're going to go back on over to the reports. How many more we got? We got number 3 more to go. And then we're going to save that as a PDF. And this is going to be the balance sheet vertical analysis. I always misspell that word. 6. And now we're going to go to the reports. And then we're going to go to number 7. Printing this one out. Print it. Save it as a PDF. And then this one is going to go the balance sheet by month report. Number 7. And then one more. And then we'll go look at the formatting options. So I'm going to save that. And do one more report, opening it up, comparative, printing it out, saving it as a PDF, and then we're going to say this is going to be a comparative balance sheet, and save that one. Okay, so now let's go into our information over here. So now we have all these reports. Let's make this one number 8. Rename it number 8. Well, let's do this. I'm going to not do that and then rename it again. Number 8. Don't delete it. Don't delete it. Okay. So there we have it. So now we can attach these to one email, which is nice. And then we can kind of have it numbered. So when they pull it out of the email and save it somewhere, it doesn't shuffle it out of order or whatnot. So that's kind of nice, although the numbers are a little bit clunky at the same time. And so that's another option that we could have, but that's still like 5, 6, 7, 8 attachments. So we might say maybe I could do it a little bit easier. Maybe I can put this into another. Maybe I can put this into like another folder, and say these are going to be folder. Let's call it month end reports. I think it was 331. What did we say? 331. And then 331.23, I think it was. Now, note, you might want to put the date up top, or you might basically want to say, I'm going to put these all in a folder dated by year, so that then it'll sort by date, from oldest to newest would be a way to do that as well. So you could put the date up top and then the name if you wanted to sort it out kind of that way. And then I could put these into that folder. And I could say, could I attach this folder to an email? And the answer is no, I can't. I cannot attach the folder to the email. But if I zip the folder, then I can attach the zipped folder to an email. So if I right click on this and say, I want to save it to a zip folder, now I can attach the zipped folder to an email. So I did this not simply so I can email it with less space, compressing the file, but rather because I can't attach a folder typically to an email, but I can attach the zipped folder to the email. So now I can have one attachment, which would be a little bit easier for someone that is on the receiving side to pick it up and receive it. And remember, when you're looking at these kind of reports, oftentimes if you're working with a client or even in an office, basically they're going to need this information possibly not every month, even though you give it to them every month, but they're going to need it at the end of the year or when they're doing a decision-making process. So you want to make sure that it's nice, that it's set up in a nice format, that they feel comfortable and secure, that you're going to be there for them, when they need you, which is probably going to be basically at the end of the year. So the other way we can do this is we can export to Excel. Exporting to Excel is probably not something we're going to do when we give the reports to the supervisor or to our clients, but we can use Excel for many different things. We can use Excel to then start with a seed of a report that we then want to alter for our own purposes to make a custom report. Really great tool for that. And we can also use Excel to put all of these reports on one worksheet and then use the Qt PDF printer to basically print that worksheet into one PDF file. So in other words, the next option you might say is, well, is there a way that I can get all these reports on one PDF file, just one long PDF file? It's not that easy to do without like an Adobe program to basically help you to put all the reports together. But you can do it kind of with Excel and a PDF printer, which can make you look a little bit professional or be able to do something that other people probably might not be able to do as easily. And just the presentation, like I say, it's half the battle. We're not fighting anyone. It's not, but if it's a G.I. Joe terms, it's like half the thing here is to present it nicely. So we'll look at that next time. We'll export it to Excel, and then we'll see if we could use that Qt PDF printer to put it all on one PDF file, to attach it as one PDF file to, say, a supervisor or a client.